constitutionally homosexuality is not illegal in Kenya.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Homosexuality, the thing, being homosexual is not illegal, which is why all the famous homosexuals, were never arrested, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if it was illegal, they could lock up Binyavanga Wainaina when he was alive, right?
Iko Nini. Episode 246 tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend, sindio?
Ndio.
Yeah, alafu saizi nataka kuwa take back in the days when Iko Nini was a TV show idea. An idea for a TV show.
Wow.
We did the pilot episode.
Yeah.
With Arunga. Unakumbuka?
Of course.
Yeah.
How come you didn't ask me to say Iko Nini also? Like you said Iko Nini, then you said
that's for the guest. It's at the end.
Oh,
as we start, it's just the two of us. Yeah.
Of course, I remember.
Yeah.
We did an interview at Go Down, right?
Yeah.
And then we did another one with Della, right?
Yeah.
Went to a studio. That was a pilot
Ngara.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know whose studio that was.
It was
I
Shash.
can't remember. Did we not also
Studios.
do? Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Next
It was
to
Shash.
Sarah
Okay.
Cassie or something.
Yeah.
And
Next
then
to
we did
Sarakasi.
another one with Calligraph. Did
Yeah.
we not? That
Yeah.
was cool. I was very excited to meet Calligraph.
Yeah. So tulitry hizi ideas za mainstream media alafu now the reality of life ikabaki imetuhit tukona like but now kitu funny ni you said something before we started that you wanted to be on radio. I
Oh
didn't
my
know
gosh, so bad. I wanted to be on radio forever, right? Like I keep sending my demos.
Yeah.
On Turkey. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
everyone has my demos. I've been trying to get on radio forever.
that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I was like, let me try Capital. Sinikona weng. I can do it. I got nothing. Dash.
Hakukuita hata ile
Zero.
kuja ukunywe chai.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, they were like, okay, thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an innate.
And then there was a time I wanted to be on Nation. There was a time Nation had like a fantastic lineup when they had Angela Ngwenyi and Lone Rungu Macharia on State of the Nation, which I loved.
Yeah.
And then they had Sanaipe, who I think is just a great... Sanaipe is good at everything.
Yeah.
She's a great singer. She's a great karaoke host. I loved her on radio. She was with, I think, Obina, was it?
Yeah, Obina.
Yeah, her show was with Obina. Like they just had a lineup, lineup ya vungu jo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your time yote si ulikuwa unaingia Nation because you used to be a writer at Nation.
Yeah, I did up until September.
Yeah. So ukiongea na watu hakuna mtu alikuwa interested?
Nah, and I would send my demos. I remember sending my demos at Homeboys, at Capital, they were just like, I don't know, I think I have to be a bigger celebrity. Maybe being on IKONINI will make me a celebrity at last. And then they'll realize, we see the light.
Oh,
but they also had
You're big, you're not.
No, but they also had like bad management, I think. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
like people who don't know how to like run a radio station.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel like radio stations were run better back in the day.
Maybe there was no competition.
Really? No competition?
Like right now, I think running a radio station right now is harder than back in the days.
Yeah.
I always use the teasers. Today, if you show up and you're like, okay, so up next, I'm going to play you this song by this new artist who used to fight in jail, and he'd slide on semen. Keep it locked. Then the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go online. Who used to slide on? And then you find, it's Rihanna's boyfriend. You're like, okay. You see? So now how do you then keep the audience like... So now you can't also use new music because artists release new music before. Before like they release it to radio, it's already online.
Yeah, so they can just go find it.
Yeah. So like how now do you run it? Like what's going to be that thing that keeps people coming
your
back?
Gimmick. I personally enjoy talk radio, right? I don't like... I used to not like presenters talking because I would be like, just play the music. But like, that's technically the only appeal now, right? I'm not interested. Like, I can find the music where I want to find the music. If I'm listening to you, it's because you're saying something I'm interested in. Like, ironically, I used to really like Waina Kageni and Mwalimu Kingangi. But when Mwalimu Kingangi was being Phil Gona, I think Mwalimu is one of... When he's not trying to be funny and he's not saying other comics, he's really funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me. It was, but they were deliberately salacious. I wish radio presenters didn't have to be like, who fucked to be interesting.
Yeah.
I wish it could just be, guys, let's talk about, I don't know, the economy. I don't know. Obviously, I like shows like State of the Nation, but like other stuff, you know, not everyday scandal. Yeah. So I think talk radio is where.
Nini naitwa nini? It's State of the Nation. Moja hii, the one that's really also popular online.
Dude, I have not listened to Nation Radio in a very long time.
Zizi, no, there's another show. Yeah, Spice FM. What is it called? The breakfast show.
There's a couple. I like the breakfast show. I like Sugar and Spice. That's with DJ Absolute. Yeah, that's all I listen to on Spice FM actually.
That breakfast show, I know about it because of Facebook. Like, it's super popular.
They have a strong online presence.
Yes, and they have those conversations and you see, it's basically talk radio.
Yeah, I like talk radio.
Yeah, so now, like, the reason I was saying like competition is not what it used to be. Back in the days, you needed radio even as an artist to take your career to the next level.
Yeah.
Right now you don't. So I feel like presenters don't have the same power, so they don't have the same appeal.
But presenters also abuse their power, right? When they were like gatekeeping people, like people always talk about this all the time, like how people used to have to pay. I don't want to say his name. The guy who was fired from radio and is now in government, like he used to like literally say, "If I'm not going to play this, if you don't pay me," like he was enriching himself through like broke artists.
Yeah,
right?
I remember he said that.
And there were a couple of people who were doing that. Yeah.
And then the internet came.
Thank goodness to save us all.
What the fuck? So now you have artists like people always asking me, why don't you bring Wakadinali to the podcast? And I'm like, those dudes say they don't even do media. Like, fuck media.
Oh, for real?
Don't care about media.
No, but I understand that because look what media has done to others.
Yeah, they've reached that level without any help from like mainstream media or what. So, and that's because of the internet.
Yeah.
Because this is kitambo. Wow.
Yeah, it's great that there's been a power shift, but it's also difficult to figure out. And I think that's a problem with new media, right? Like figuring out what are we supposed to do in this phase. Media has changed so drastically. Like, how do we move in this space? You know, which is why now you can have a podcast, even if our TV show did not work.
Yeah. We tried. So like, and then another thing I'd say, like, the advantage of the internet is you can learn from other sources. So how I'd look at it is like right now, if I was running a radio station, I'd look at, of course, what we've talked about, like Spice, that breakfast show works. Like there are people who just find it online. Then you have like in America, the Breakfast Club. You know it?
Yeah, of course.
Charlamagne the God. Of course. And then Charlamagne. So it's a radio show and it's podcast-ish. Because you have these like 1 hour interviews that they have. I want to know how do they do them.
Yeah.
Like even the infamous, you ain't got the answer, so he was not on that. But when Ani put respect on my name.
Yeah, Birdman.
That was on there?
That was on the,
on that show. So how do you get that balance between... so I think you can study from states, because I feel like America does it the best when it comes to this commercial stuff and what.
I mean, it's easy to do something the best when you've had 400 years of unpaid black labor.
Yeah,
even us, if we had free labor, we would be ahead, man.
Yeah,
I mean, our roads would be different, our economy would be different. But yeah, they do it the best. I think America is like a marketer's wet dream. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they've managed to produce so much propaganda about how they're the best at everything and can do everything. And we still believe it to this day. Like to this day, there are people who are like, oh, I want to move to America. I'm going to make it big. And it's, let me tell you something. America is a factory.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, I have some of my relatives live in the States, and they're always like, when I got here, I thought babes were going to be twerking on the streetlights, you know, like in the music videos. Oh my gosh, it's nothing. People are in America to work. Like, that's what people are. That's why when people come, like Kenyans come back, like they're over here flossing, because no one cares about that shit in America.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares if you're buying bottles. VIP, it's a waste of your time, right? Like, I mean, the clubs end at 2. Let's start there. You know how you can find a club still rocking on Sunday morning at 7 in the morning, the way Solar Garden used to like rock. But America is, they just went into marketing and did it so well that now everyone believes that they're the best at everything, even with clear evidence that the democracy doesn't work. There's problems with their welfare systems. They have a distinct lack of humanity, which I think is a really big problem. Their drug use, like the fentanyl. It's a crazy place.
Yeah.
I don't think I would.
Muko na kukienda huko like mara kadhaa unaenda unarudi
lakini narudi sindio?
Yeah.
I don't think I could live in America unless I absolutely have to, although the way the economy is taking me, I might have to. I think America is really nice to visit. I think everyone should visit for sure. I think it opens your eyes to, I always say travel is for remembering home. like you remember why.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you compare. It's nice to have like a little bit of exposure so you can compare. You can be like, oh, so this McDonald's I'm seeing on TV, it's not even meat. You know what I mean? Like it's so bad for you. Like I think we also underestimate the good things about Africa that we take for granted. Africa as a country. Like being able to have cheap, healthy food. Cheap food in America is really bad for you, right?
Yeah.
But here you go to a kibanda, you'll get a chapo for, what is it now? Like, well, it used to be 20. Now it's probably like 50.
No, it just
economy.
reduces in thickness.
It just reduces in thickness.
You can get a chapo for even
for 10, but
10 bob.
So there's something for each.
yeah.
Just like a blunt, actually. Like you can get a blunt for 10 to 50 to 100. You know, there's, and it's like organic and you know what you're getting. Because they keep writing organic.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in Kenya is organic. We don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need to tag that.
Yeah, but also organic in America doesn't mean organic. It's just like the name of a brand that they stick on so that you think it's healthy. It's like how you can call something Omo, but it's not Omo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is actually organic here, except like recently, right, with the seeds that we're getting that cannot regenerate. Like it's slowly seeping into our own economy, right?
Those,
Yeah, like
those
Monsanto, like those Bill Gates guys who are trying to like make sure that we have to keep buying seeds from them. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Like we have to buy nature, like buy a tree. It's weird, right?
Yeah. But I know, you see, now you have African leaders who will always have their heads stuck up their asses.
First of all, calling them leaders is, I don't know, what are they leading? Leading us into, like, I don't know.
Because that's the problem.
Yeah, and hell, right?
Because you can't have this perfect weather. You see, like the way you said, like, traveling is for remembering home, yes? Like, when you're in those countries and you see, like, it's 8 p.m. and the sun is still out.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you appreciate Kenya. The fact that here, like, perfect days, perfect nights.
Yeah.
Now we have basically close to perfect weather.
Yeah.
And then you have these leaders who they just can't see that. They just want quick riches. They want, it's ridiculous.
Do you know, I feel like there's like a distinct flaw in, I don't know if it's modernity that's brought it. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like we used to be greedy in the same way before we were colonized. I think we were greedy in that we were like trying to do cattle raids and conquer other nations and like assimilate. I mean, if you look at the Luo alone, right? The Luo and the Luo Abasuba, who are actually Bantu, right? Yeah. But the Luo kind of forced them to
didn't know that.
Yeah. Class 7 or Form 1 GHC. So the Luo, the Bantus are Abaluya, Abakuria, Abagusi, and Abasuba.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
You remember something that sounds like that?
Because the Subas speak Luo.
They speak Luo because they were forced to speak Luo.
Yeah, we just
because Luos are just
okay,
but like, there's actually a Suba language, right? Because Tomboya was Suba, so there's a Suba language, and there's actually a Rusinga cultural festival that happens every year to like reinvigorate the Suba culture. Because Suba's a Bantu, so you
learn something every day. Yeah? So does this mean that Moi never killed Luos like we thought he killed Luos? Because if Moi killed Tomboya and Tomboy was Suba, he killed Ouko, and Ouko was apparently Luya.
Oh, was it?
What are we talking about here? Yes, apparently Ouko was a kid. Like the mom came to the marriage with him, and the mom was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the mom had, I think, a Luya lover. Yeah. So you were like, So Ouko was a sort of guy of Ugali man.
Yeah. I mean. I think Moi killed a lot of people. Maybe the most obvious ones were not. But he killed a lot of people, regardless of whether Tomboya was Luo or not.
Yeah, that was just a very bad joke, Polena. Because of course, I need to finya. Damn, after Uchuka.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was doing a quiz. Sorry, you were about to say something.
You carry on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't read as much about the coup as I should have. Yeah. Like, you know what you're told in history, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's so much I didn't know about the coup. Yeah. I do quizzes, right? Like twice a month.
It's one of the things that put up Ikonini. Quiz night. Yeah.
So
but we should bring up,
Kenyan history. And I was asking a question about the coup. So I had to research on the coup. And I was like, really? This guy wasn't even like a general. He was like the second lowest rank. Yeah. I was like, with faith the size of a mustard seed, you can lead a coup. Because he was like the lowest. Yeah. That's the level of confidence I aspire to.
Yeah, because Nani did a very good like narration of the whole thing. It's so good. Kurugenzi.
Oh yeah.
Abel, where he just paints the picture of this guy, junior staff guy,
Yeah.
who comes up with all this plan, but then last minute there was someone who was supposed to drop bombs,
and they didn't. They flew back or something.
Yes,
yeah,
and that's how it failed.
Well, the bomb said.
Ati walikuwa wamezitoa sijui masaid za nini watu wenda wach mkurugenzi, it's a whole other story.
The whole thing.
Memory yangu
There are bombs involved.
Yeah. Like flying, like they were going to drop missiles.
And then a lot of like University of Nairobi students were killed because when the government was overthrown, of course a lot of them tried to move to KBC. Watu waliangushwa, bodies were a lot of people died.
I mean, the fact that we can even talk about Moyo on a podcast, clearly we've come a long way. But I was saying I don't feel like we were as greedy. I feel like we did the regular colonizing of the tribes, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't like, not unyanyasaji isn't even the word. It's like a cruel, I don't know how to explain it. It feels like after colonization, we learned from the white man how to really
be greedy,
torture. And like, and I'm not saying, no, I am saying I wish public office could be, you don't do it to enrich yourself.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand why you have to enrich yourself and kill people and take everything from people and completely like drain the entire, do you know what I mean? Like you're not even doing a little, like you've taken it all to the point that you can't even think about continuing the Kenya that you're taking from so that you can continue to take. For you, you're just taking for now and that's it. But how does it make sense to not maintain the cash cow if you're planning to keep you like even a road? Like I just it baffles me that the lack of foresight, the lack of intelligence, and the lack of empathy, which I blame on our education system, because our education system is it's a bit shite, to be honest, and it doesn't teach critical analysis or thinking, and you're punished for asking questions. Speaking as myself, you're punished for asking questions. You're punished for being different. You're punished for being academically dumb, which just means you can't cram. Because that's what the Kenyan system what 844 used to be. I don't know if CBC is like that, but like
it's close to that, but it's not. I'd say CBC is now a system where you have those still old school teachers.
That's also
like Like I remember, like my daughter kept telling me, like in the past year, she just wanted to change schools, and I was asking her about what, and she was like, because our teacher is mean. And I was asking her, like, what do you mean he's mean? And she's like, he's always threatening us. And you're like, he never goes that extra step. But I'm like, you can't use the same tactics you used on us or new kids who don't need even as much knowledge as we needed. We used to go to school and we were this like, what do you call, like plain whatever canvas where you can just paint anything. These kids nowadays, they go to school, they know how to count, they know how to most of them know how to read by the time they are 7. Sisi liko unaenda shule unaanza kufundishwa everything. E, O, U. So if you have that teacher who used to teach those days, saizi kwa in a modern world. So even like vitu wanafundisha class 1 zinafaa kuwa zinafundishwa at a lower level. You see? Because I have like my 6-year-old nephew who on a random day he'll just come and tell you, do you know that there are a billion stars in this and they just continue doing whatever he was doing. So now that kid anafundishwa na mwalimu ule akiwa 12 years old atakwambia there are 9 planets. Oh, Pluto is not a planet. So there are, this kid knew that ish when he was 6
before.
Now utamfundisha akiwa 12. So
especially with that internet thing as well, right? Like they know so much more. I think also one of my major problems with CBC, other than I have many problems with CBC, but one of them is that it's kind of hard to implement a system when you haven't trained these guys, the old system guys, on how to receive and how to teach the system. Even the fact that CBC is supposed to be enacted like regionally, like so for example, sometimes they have an example where an exam where you're supposed to swim. Obviously, like in I don't know, like Garis or whatever, or like in a shag school, there's no pool for them to swim. There are supposed to be adaptations in the system for them to do something other than swimming. But if the teacher doesn't know that and the teacher doesn't care, and sometimes teachers don't care because they're not being paid enough to care, right? So like, of course your kids are going to fall by the wayside. So sometimes I question like the implementation, why we did it so quickly, why we copied from other people, where the money is supposed to come from to implement it, how it makes sense when we haven't even mastered KCP and KCSE without cheating. Like you saw that people were getting results for like subjects that didn't even exist. Anyway, the rot is deep and pervasive and widespread, because even if you were to say, okay, I'm going to be president for a week, and this is the issue I'm going to focus on. How do you even pick?
Very little
there's so many issues, and they're all interrelated, and in Kenya you're killed for trying to do something good.
Yeah. Alafu when we talked about the lack of foresight in Kenyan leaders, I was like, I wanted to drop my like the lame joke of like when Kenyans are voting, we mostly focus on the lack of foreskin. You see,
it's true.
Yeah. You see, so
it's true.
That's
but low circumcised nowadays. How is that still a thing, by the way?
No, it's still a thing. Like I won't lie to you. I can bet like anything in 2027. There's going to be a cabinet secretary talking about foreskins.
Why
are we
still focusing on this thing?
You see, because it shows you, like, remember what I was saying, like, the worst thing about Kenyan history is, like, Kenyan education system, you're not even taught enough. Because if you're taught enough, you'd be told, like, the most powerful people in America, in the world, except America only, are foreskin dudes. They do,
it's true.
Like the British, the Germans, the Japanese, the Chinese, the what? Like, so this has nothing to do with masculinity. These are the people who came. Like the British, a very small country. Like the whole of Britain can fit into Kenya. Is it 2.5 times? The whole of Britain, the 4 countries.
It's a tiny little island.
Yes. So those 4 countries, these people came and told the world, like, you're going to speak my language.
Yeah.
You're going to what? And they conquered. And it became something usual. That now someone else, like in Africa, will even use the word that they came up with, that foreskin word, to, you understand? Like, so that's the level of people you're dealing with, where instead of us talking about what you can do, we talk about what you have in your pants. You see, and that's the level. And people have come to accept that as something normal. So nakwambia, like 2027
someone is still going to be talking about
we'll still be talking about that, because if this government does not deliver, they know at least that's something we can always fall back on.
You know, I feel like this government does that a lot, like little distractions to prevent you from looking at what the real issue is. I feel like that every time a politician brings up so for example, this idiot Peter Kaduma, who's putting that bill for anti-homosexuality.
Yeah.
This nigga has called this thing the Family Protection Act. Meanwhile, he's a deadbeat dad. So there's no family he's protecting, even himself. Number one. Number two, I feel like every time you say homosexuality, Kenyans get inflamed. Oh my gosh, why are you fucking in the ass? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When what we should be focusing on is these guys are not making any laws to protect you. They're robbing your country completely dry. You will have nothing to come back to. Who people are sleeping with consensually, or who people are attracted to, like, really, honestly, on the scale of prioritization, I feel like it should be very low.
Plus the Kenyan government is homosexual, because it's really screwing us in that.
Giving it to
it's
us
so silly.
every day.
That's where you're going. Oh, that's not where I was going. That's not where I was going. I think it's also because people really focus on the fucking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, more than any other sexual group, I feel like when people hear homosexual, they're like, they just want to, but it's like, in the same way that straight people can not be having sex, or in the same way that you can choose to be celibate, or blah, 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 or you can be asexual. I don't know why we really focus, even in our constitution, you know, constitutionally, homosexuality is not illegal in Kenya.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Homosexuality, the thing, being homosexual is not illegal, which is why all the famous homosexuals, were never arrested, right?
Yeah.
Because if it was illegal, they could lock up Binyavanga Wainaina when he was alive, right? What is illegal is being caught in the act of homosexuality. And it's only men, by the way. Like, if you read the Constitution, for women as well. Like, it's like, who wrote this thing? Like, it doesn't...
See, but I also think, because even for like straight dudes, if I'll be honest, this might be toxic masculinity, but if I walked into and found 2 dudes, I'd be disgusted. But 2 girls, I'll be there like, can I watch?
Exactly. So it's people like you who wrote the Constitution. But that's also my question, right? If it's an act that's illegal, that means you have to have an implementation force going around to look for... they do that in Uganda. In Uganda, oral sex is illegal. Actually, technically, according to a penal code, things like... Anyway, go look in the penal code. That's funny that it's called the penal
Uganda,
code.
What is illegal?
Oral sex
is illegal.
Yeah, so there's all these jokes. When he made it illegal a couple of years ago.
There's a time Nani talked about that, right? Is it Museveni? Do not put your mouth there.
Which is weird. Also, why are we... What does the Constitution have to do with...
But you see now, it's what we're talking about, where the leaders have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So now they start looking
they
for...
make things that are non-issue an issue. And then it brings victimization for people who have nothing to do with this thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so technically, according to like our penal code, for example, there's certain sexual acts that are not allowed, right? So like, but I don't understand why you're trying to legislate cunnilingus. Like between consenting adults, I don't understand why we're still talking. Which is why I don't know if you guys have heard about Repeal 162.
No.
When they're trying to repeal certain sections of the Constitution that they just don't make sense. Like why would oral sex be something that you could be tried for? Also, for law to make sense, it has
Uganda.
to be even
Kenya,
here.
Iko?
Even here, technically, if you look at the penal code. But what I don't understand is we can't make laws that are not enforceable. Other than if it's pointless. Are you going to have a task force? The oral sex task force, like
the oral sex task force will be tricky because people will be fighting in the office on who's given
on who gets to go on shift,
because everyone wants to
be on the task force.
The lesbians. And and then if I'm the boss, I'm like, now Ian, you're going to have to investigate.
Yeah, if you pissed me off last week, you know, if it's not implementable, I don't know why I don't even know why it's a conversation.
Okay, it's gonna judge you. Yeah, like whatever. But UG, I'm not even surprised about Uganda, because Uganda, you know, now Museveni is doing so badly that it's going to clutch on anything. And then you know that Africans, you don't see, this is the most interesting thing about us as Africans, and I call myself Mwafrika, but I always say that we are these people who believe we are morally like superior to other races and other what?
Africans.
Yes. But okay, when it comes to violence, no one can ever touch the white man's level of violence. You see that. But now when we're talking about morals, let's just talk about like societal morals. Yes.
Yeah.
With that, you'll find a leader who steals. Hospitals are not in it. People are dying. Yes. This guy feels like he's morally superior to this other legislator in some white country who's like, you know what? Let homosexual be legal.
It's true.
You understand? Now, that's where the problem is. Because now, when you come and tell the voter that, at least maybe sijakubali mahomo.
Yeah.
People still accept
it. Why do we accept that also?
I think it's
there's a weird religiosity that we have that I don't like. We are supposedly an 80% Christian country.
Yeah.
We really don't act like we give Christians a bad name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't, this thing where if a leader appears in church only election season, we believe everything he says and we vote for him because we saw him in church that one time.
Yeah.
The power that religion has on us, a power inherit. I mean, okay, so religion in itself is a white man construct, right?
Yeah.
We inherited that shit. We were not religious in that way. We were religious in our own ways, and we somehow completely forgot it to the point that we've adopted it even more than the white man.
The white man, yeah.
Like in white people countries, like the churches have become clubs or they're shutting down, or, you know. But as we've like shikiliad, and which is what was it Karl Marx who said, you know, religion is the opium of the masses.
Yeah.
It's true. We move as this mass unthinking block just because a guy says he's a Christian. It makes no sense.
There's a guest we had here and he joked about that. He said, wait for 2026. Ruto will be back in church and he'll be back crying. And
you were asking where did the tears go?
Yeah.
Chegema juice or something.
Chegema juice. So he'll be back in church because he knows like this is all I need to tell these people, because these people don't classify corruption as a sin. So there are only things Kenyans don't even classify murder as a sin, if you come to think of it.
You know, it's true.
Because like mob justice, majuzi kuna, there's a video that was being shared of some two guys had stolen in a motor on like a boda, and they were just set on fire.
No, we don't think that it's... So doesn't that make you wonder, like, what kind of society we're moving in also? Because we can have all these conversations, and we have these conversations all the time, but clearly this is not what the majority thinks. Because if the majority thought that, then we wouldn't keep voting these people in. So it's almost like the majority agrees with what the leaders are doing. Like the majority are like... So you know how people always talk about, let's bomb parliament and start over. But we are the same. Like, we voted these people in. We agree with their ideals. We, too, want to enrich ourselves. So if we bomb parliament, it would just be a new wave of people who would do the same thing.
I think what might bring change is another Moi situation. By another Moi situation, I mean one day when like what happened in TZ, where a sitting president ends up, passing in office. And by that time, if you have a vice president who's not, because see, like Nani Samia she's Zanzibari, yeah. So there were people who didn't even want her to take over. The same way during the Kenyatta time, people didn't want Moi to take over.
Yeah.
But now try and imagine a situation whereby we end up with a vice president from a minority tribe, yes, like one of these minority tribes,
which is what Tanzania does, right?
Yes. What's going to happen is when they end up being president, even if it's for that remaining term, they won't have any like tribal whatever to actually, they can decide, no, I'm going to balance my cabinet. If I keep this thing, I keep it. If I don't keep it, I don't keep it. And then get the most competent people. Plus still, I feel like in leaders' minds, in Kenyan leaders' minds, they always feel like the person on the ground cares about the tribe of the cabinet secretary. I don't think Kenyans care about that. And this is where I normally bring up Kibaki. Kibaki was the guy who was voted in by all tribes, basically. Like when he won his first term. This was the guy who was supposed to change Kenya. But remember, he messed up when now he ended up making the cabinet very tribal. And he didn't need that. He had the support of everyone.
He could have
done better. And so even with all the good things he did.
Which were many.
Yes, that's one of the fuck-ups that alifanya. Because saizi now you have people like Moses Kuria as cabinet secretaries. You have a senator like Karen Nyamu who just twerks online.
Even though I feel like Karen Nyamu is important as a representation, I'm just saying she entertains me. But yes, I get your point.
Like she's always twerking.
I don't really follow her a lot. I just know she has drama with that dude.
There's a new video she posted, I think it was yesterday. And she was just twerking.
Yeah. I saw the one where she was showing her tits and I was like, those are nice tits.
Yeah. Which we don't dispute. Like, my nephew can jerk off to that, but like I need more than that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But I don't think everyone needs more than that. Like Kenyans like that gimmicky stuff. You know what I mean? Like they like the spectacle, the performance. And that's why there's so many performers, like actors in government, right? The Umtatas are few and far between.
Yeah.
Like the people who are actually doing, I don't know, maybe I don't know that, maybe I don't pay attention, but I feel like I follow enough people to follow enough things that keep track of what Parliament is doing to know that these people aren't doing fuck all. Yeah. There's something that you said about, what did you just say? There's something that you said about elections that I'm trying to remember that I wanted to come back to. I'll remember it and I'll come back.
Yeah, because, but you just wait for 2027. We are going to go back to default settings, where you remember like even when this government started, what's his name? The deputy president of the country used to go to central Kenya and be like, you see, now this is what they're doing for us. And then you see the average person starts believing that if I have this incompetent CS, as long as it's from my tribe, I'm good. And that's where the problem is. Like, how do you get that ish out of people's systems where they know, like, you'd rather have someone who's not from your tribe, but they have your best interest at heart.
So this is why I think our education system is failing. Right? Our education system teaches us that if an authority tells you something, it's true, it's fact, you accept it, you move on. I think the fact that our education does not teach like empathy and tolerance and critical analysis is what results in us voting in Sakaja because he has nice dimples. Do you know what I mean? They're great dimples. I personally, speaking for myself, I love those dimples, but like this is not.
Remember Chilobe?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like there was so many. And Kenyans also play too much. It's true. We play too much, but we play because we literally feel powerless, like there's nothing else we can do.
Nah, it's bullshit, man. You live in the 21st century and all you can do is you look at someone and you start telling Miss they're handsome, and that's in the middle of a disputed elections where people are going to die and shut the fuck up.
But I think they do that again to distract. Where the Kenyan government is a master of distraction.
Yeah, distraction. Yeah.
Distraction and distraction. Like they're very good at throwing something in the mix, then everyone will be focused on this, talking about this, and they're busy doing their things on the side. Like fucking Huduma number and Maisha number, whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
Yeah.
There's nothing in my life, I think, that has irritated. There's no cause I've taken in my life, maybe except feminism, that is as much as Huduma number. You know, I used to go to court to attend, to see like, okay, what are they, and I used to go for public participation because they do this thing where they put it very far so that you don't go. I was like, ilikuwa naenda because Huduma number is bullshit and it's just another corruption scandal, and it's just to nyanyasa people in a way to take more money from them that Kenyans don't have. Just the same way they're trying to increase the levies, the thing for paying 1,000 bob, housing, health, but also increasing money for paying for IDs. Now you have to pay for ID. Kenyans have never had to pay for an ID ever. Replacing is now or they want to make it 2K. So there's public participation going on right now. All these things that they want to increase, it's just like, this is bullshit.
Apparently it's
more
the
people
IMF.
angry?
Apparently it's the IMF telling
Yeah,
them
there
to do
is,
these
but why
things.
aren't more Kenyans angry about this?
I think it's because, remember when I say like Kenya is a very tribal country, yes? So when push comes to shove, the tribes that a president needs to win an election will get free IDs when push comes to shove. Yes, they'll
That's
get
the
free
plan.
IDs. Yes. So, but you see, but now you see, for the average Kenyan, as long as they win the election, they don't care that creates a government that's not accountable. You see, like if a government knows that you love it unconditionally, like even if you're in a relationship, the person needs to know you don't love them unconditionally.
Like there's shit that they can do that will make you leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now you see the Kenya government knows, like if an election was called today, 99%, okay, let me say 95% of Kalenjins would still vote for Ruto.
Isn't that crazy?
Like if you called it today, you see.
That's crazy.
So that's a level of unconditional love.
It's too much.
Up to over 80%, if it's still Ruto versus Raila, over 80% of Central, I think, would still vote for Ruto based on now the foreskin. You understand? So now you have to look at all these things and know this is basically unconditional love. The same way, even Raila on the other side, it's unconditional love. Yeah, and it's come at a cost of Luo. Nyanza has some of the most incompetent leaders. Like we had, was it in Homa Bay, where there was a leader who spent over 280 million on sugar and tea in 5 years? Like, what the fuck are you drinking in the office?
Yeah.
Drink some fucking water.
Yeah.
Like, you understand? So, and this is unconditional love. Because if also Raila felt like his love is not unconditional, he'd make sure that these people, the ones who go into office under him, bring some level of change.
To be fair, I think Raila's case, so Ruto is a new leader. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The things I have against Raila, I'm going to get so much flack for this. The things I have against Raila is that he's been powerful for so long. In the same way that you said Kibaki could have done better, there's so much Raila could have done at this point, but I think he's also riding on the fact that Raila did used to actually do some stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, this nigga went to jail, he spearheaded, a lot of devolution, etc. So I think because he's done those things, like he's riding on that. When a boyfriend takes you out for one great date, you think about that date for 6 months. Yeah. And you're hanging on to the relationship for that one thing. Raila has done things, but like the fact that he could have done so much more. I don't think Raila needs to be president to effect the change that he keeps talking about. He's been a leader of a robust opposition for so long. There's so much that could, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's just like, for him, he's supposed to be like, if you become a governor under my whatever umbrella, zero corruption.
This is what this means.
Yes.
Or if you do corruption, make sure I don't see it. Because everyone is doing corruption, even these Americans that we look up to, etc., blah, blah, blah. Just like, do balanced corruption. Like, build your own house in Sijriwea, but also build a road, right? Build a hospital. It's not going to take that much out of you. I just wish they didn't see Kenyans as like these fucking disposable, expendable bodies that they can just like walk over to become billionaires. And this is why we say there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. This is why I had to unfollow Rihanna. Very upset. Because you have to do so much oppression to become a billionaire. There's no way that you could have possibly done that ethically. There's no way that you could have worked enough to be a billionaire. Do you know what I mean?
No, if you're a tech person, you can.
If you're a what person?
Tech
if you're a tech person, you can. But even tech people, like, the money is mindless. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know.
That you're making
this ridiculous.
Like, there's no way you could have worked that hard to deserve, which is a big flaw in capitalism, right? The people who make the most money a lot of the time are doing the least. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it was based on how much work you're doing, then African women in the village would be the richest women alive because they work all the time too much. But if you're just sitting and you're saying people, I mean, like Amazon, right? Like, Amazon is technically a tech product, but
Yeah, it's like
this
hey,
guy
nani,
doesn't even let his workers. I have a friend who used to work for Amazon. These people don't even get 10-minute breaks. You get fired for trying to form a union. Did you see the Kenyan workers who tried to form a union and they got fired? The guys who are I want to say moderators for Meta, Facebook. They tried to form a union and they were fired.
Oh,
because they're like literally in court right now because you can't fire people for trying to protect their rights, but a billionaire doesn't want you to have rights. So even if it's tech,
they want
the procedural things that you do in the tech is what makes it.
Because we are talking about tech, like Majuzi, and we are talking about that. Was it Sir Brenton or something? The guy who invented the internet. And we are thinking about him, and we were like, if this guy wanted to be a trillionaire, he'd have ended up being a trillionaire.
Absolutely.
Because you can try and imagine how much industry relies on the internet. And this dude was like, you know what, I'm not going to patent this.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's
because
he changed the world.
Even the guys who, is it the guy who made insulin? He was like, I can't, this is life changing. Yeah, I'm not going to like make my, and the way they sell insulin, I don't know how, I don't know what it is like here, but like in the States, the way they...
Yeah, it's exaggerated.
It's so exaggerated. And this is something that's literally someone needs this to live. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
America
like
is messed up when it comes to that. Yeah.
It's like how I don't understand how condoms can be dispensed for free and pads are charged an extra premium in Kenya as a luxury product. You know, women cannot choose not to have their period. We have to, like, unless something else is going on, we have to have our period, right? Condoms, you can choose not to have sex. It's like...
Or you can choose not to use them.
Or you can choose not to use them. Yeah, if you're interested in, procreating. But it's like, it doesn't understand. I fine pads are charged, but the fact that they're charged as a luxury is mind-blowing to me. They're literally sanitary products.
What do you mean by luxury?
They're not taxed in the field of like milk and thingy. They're taxed as something extra. And of course not everyone can use pads or afford pads. Product. It's like a cosmetic, exactly, thank you. It's like a cosmetic product. But like for women who use pads, we have to use pads.
These are the fights that I think Dorcas, Gachagua and Rachel Ruto need to be fighting.
First, someone put me on her mailing list and I don't know why. I don't know how they found my email. I'm so upset. I keep getting emails about the stupid lies.
Unsubscribe?
Every time I unsubscribe, something happens. Like they don't give me that option. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And and like the women's reps. Hey, step aside. Anyway, this is what they should be doing. But I think I have sympathy for women in parliament also. Not that I think that they're perfect and they're doing great things. Like there's a lady who has a end period poverty thing. The one who came with the patch.
Gloria Oruoba.
There we go. She has that campaign going on and I think that's great and fearless. Yeah. But it's also really hard to function in a democracy. I know it sounds like I'm supporting dictatorship. I might be.
Yeah, but understand
but like,
what you mean.
Everyone has to agree with you. You're literally exchanging favors and calling in social capital and blah, blah, blah to get this one thing done. I think it's really difficult. So even when like Boniface Mwangi wanted to go into parliament, and I voted for him because Boniface Mwangi, but like
na nikipata chance ya kusemaga aliniringia akasema kujiko nini, but nilimvotia.
What do you mean?
He gave me a date and stood me up.
No.
And I found that to be very un-Boni like, because Boni has always been the guy who tells you what he thinks. So for him to not even pick up my call.
But he's going through things. Sidri's house was bombed.
His house was bombed 2 years ago.
Yeah, but that's traumatic, man. How do you feel safe?
I've seen him on other podcasts of people who I'm sure most probably didn't vote for him.
Bonnie were calling guy. I choose to believe that he would not do that on purpose. That would be weird. That would be very uncharacteristic of him.
I was surprised. I was actually because people know, like, I've argued with people about Bonnie, like even some of his ex-workers. Like, mimi kaa kuna mtu najua na believe in the idea of Kenya, it's Bonnie. I've argued with people who are like, no, he's paid. I'm like, no one can pay you to get shot. You remember like the way he got shot with that key?
I was at that protest.
Up close. No one can pay you for that.
Even if you're being paid. I don't understand this thing for it's not genuine if you're being paid. That's a goddamn lie. Listen, there's not enough that you can pay me, especially if I have a wife and 3 kids. That I'll be okay with having a permanent, because that tear gas, he had to have an operation. Like, even if he's being paid, why shouldn't he be being paid? Why not? Like, you guys who are also not being paid, if your cause is so trucy, then you also go out and fight for people. But not only are you not being paid, all you have time for is to comment on people who you think are being paid, and they're fighting for your own. No, stop it. That's stupid.
I'll keep saying this, even if Hakuji Iko Nini, I'll keep saying that guy believes in the idea of Kenya. There are people who believe in the idea of Kenya. I personally don't believe in the idea of Kenya. I think we can't be saved. We
can't be saved?
I just feel like we can't be saved. I feel like Kenyans have come up with this idea of like we've set the bar so low that we can't be saved. Like we're okay with hearing like, this is what we've set for travel. And people are like, okay.
That makes sense. Let's go ahead.
So here we have not even far. TZ Magufuli like was not even traveling. And now TZ, you've seen like people shared a picture of their SGR. And
don't even.
We are supposed to be the shit.
Yeah, we're really not. Well, to be fair, Kenya is the shit in some things.
Yes, but
right?
TZ, at this
and
rate,
maybe we need to be passed so that we like fucking get it together. Do you know what I mean?
By far.
By far. Yeah. So like when Bonnie was getting into parliament and I saw what's the guy for Chichupevu? Moha, right?
Yeah.
All these people getting into parliament, I love it, but they're not enough mass. There's not enough people who believe in the idea of Kenya or believe that we can be saved for people to get into parliament and actually make a difference. They're outnumbered and outvoted because unfortunately we're in a democracy, and a democracy is only as good as the least intelligent mind. Do you know what I mean? So even when they're in there and we're expecting all this stuff from them, I don't know if Bonnie would have been able to do that because he's one guy.
Yeah.
And there's not enough people. Maybe he would have fired some people up and like maybe some things would have changed, which is why I think I still believe that Kenya or Kenyans or the concept of Kenya can be saved. Yeah. Just because of like conversations like this that are important to have. But like, hey, I don't know. I don't know if those babes, even the way I'm talking about how pads are a cosmetic product, I don't know if there's enough people to get behind it, because we're all exchanging, we're trading things. Okay, you vote for me on the sexual offences bill, then I'll vote for you on this agricultural bill. Okay, you agree that our salaries should be increased, and then I'll support you in this. But you know what I mean? I don't know if maybe I'm making excuses for them. I don't know.
Yeah, because Kenya is tricky, because now I think the only way for pads to be vilomesema free and what is to then set up Rachel Ruto and Dorcas. When you're there in a meeting with them, you bring it up, because it seems the only thing that can change that is a pillow talk. Oh, Baba Nani, siwanda. Ni Baba Nani, not His Excellency. Ni Baba Nani, enda ubadilisha.
They were given $1 billion.
Yeah,
their offices have
something like 2 billion.
Yeah. So
guys, I don't understand how. I wish, oh my gosh, in my ideal Kenya, first of all, we would have a coalition government where everyone who's there has to be from a major something. You know how Somali, their government is kind of made up of the leader of each like tribe or then they all come together. I think it's 41. I could be wrong. I can't remember. But they've all come together. There's a representative of each, and everyone has equal power in my ideal world, right? It's not just one guy who can make all the decisions for everyone. Even like Netherlands, those Nordic countries do that as well, right? And then secondly, public servants need to not be paid. Like don't become an MP because you think you're going to be rich. Become an MP because you think you're actually going to serve the public. In my ideal world, they would not be making money. You'll be given a house. You know those houses that used to be there like for railways or NHC? You're living in those houses. Your kids have to go to public school and you have to go to public hospital. Not this shit where our fucking Minister of Health flies out to India when he has cancer. Do you know what I mean? Like
Kufa hapa Kenya.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Kufa hapa Kenya. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Your kids are studying in abroad.
Yeah, if public servants were not paid and did not have those perks, I feel like there would be a slight, I feel like not even slight, I'm lying. I feel like there would be a major shift in leadership if they had to use the same shit we had to use. Do you know what I mean?
Because like, when I learned that this woman, Angela Marco, lives in an apartment, I was like, what? You know, she lives in an apartment block. Like she has neighbors. So if she starts like arguing with her husband, she has neighbors. Somehow they secure her in a public apartment block. And then, remember when there was this leak? Yes. When there was this leak in Fukushima, in Japan, and people are like, Fukushima is not safe. Do you know, like, a cabinet secretary, I'm a minister in that country, had to go to that area, and he was eating fish to show people this thing is safe. That's the level of leadership in Japan and the level of leadership in Germany.
I want to go to Japan so bad, man.
Yes. Japan, I think they'll just have to take us in like very soon because
but it's so hard for them to take you in. You can't actually loosely get citizen. You know how here you can come and you can stay for like 10 years and then apply. Is it naturalization or something? You can't do those things in Japan. Those countries, Japan, Cuba, you can't just become. That's not the thing. Ethiopia also, you can't, like, it's very difficult for you to become. But I think I don't think it's that they're better than us or more organized or more civilized. I think they just implement their punishments. Like in Japan, for example, Japan is different because they have that really intense system of honor. But like other countries like China, it's not like they're not corrupt. America, it's not like, it's that you're so intent on maintaining the image of having actually done something and being good. Because as soon as there's a touch of scandal, you have to resign. Kenyans don't have to resign for shit. They can do whatever the fuck they want and no one is gonna. But in these other countries, the level of punishment is so high. If there's even a breath of scandal, you have to resign. Countries like China, where they used to chop off people's body parts. Do you know what I mean? If we could just streamline the punishments, but then again, we have our police forces. What are police forces? And I have faith in our legal system, though. Of all of the arms of government, I do have faith in the judiciary. It's these other guys.
Judiciary.
I have faith in the judiciary
to be a joke, especially the judiciary. Really? The judiciary under Ruto, I think, is just an extension of the what is it called? The executive. Look at this thing. Like last week, they were like, this whatever thing is illegal. The housing levy, and the same day, a different court says no. And this judiciary, the way we know it, like I feel like the judiciary hated Uhuru so much that right now they're trying to please Nani. Because remember, Uhuru was also an asshole to them.
True.
So right now it's all about pleasing Ruto.
The reason that I feel like our judiciary is independent is because there are certain judgments that our judiciary does that makes you feel like actually these guys are actually trying to listen. So even the fact that the housing levy was declared illegal, right? And the fact that they said you can't do anything until we decide that you can continue. The fact that they're saying you couldn't do Huduma number until we get like a data protection officer. There's some judgments that they make me feel like they're actually not being bought, because the housing levy, obviously it's more money for the government. In a judiciary that was compromised, I feel like they would have just been like, no, it's legal, carry on.
Okay, this is how I'm looking at it.
Even our election,
But you and point yako makes a lot of sense.
Even our election, the fact that, to be fair, that was Maraga, but like, even the fact that the election was overturned and the Chief Justice said that our parliament is illegal because we're not following the 2/3 gender rule. That's crazy for someone who is being bought to say.
Okay. No, I don't dispute that. That's when I say, nasema during the Ruto era. So this is what I mean. There's the high court level, sindio? So these high courts are what do what they're supposed to do, yes? And then the higher we go, the more itakuwa about the executive. So if this housing levy thing was to go up to the Supreme Court, I can tell you today that the Supreme Court would find it legal. That's
I would be curious
how
to
much.
see.
100%
You're like, there's no way.
they'd find it legal. Upper high court level inakuwaga shida. Even there used to be this one guy. What was his name? There was this justice a judge that had a Luo name, I think. Odu something. And it reached a level mpaka they were like, this guy needs to be transferred or what and what. Because he used to get all these things like the government has done this illegally. Mpaka people now had to look at their own his name. So you have that level. You had the albino judge. What did she do? There's something she did also. Like
I don't know what
so
she did.
you have that level. And then the higher you go, that's where I have a problem. Like this higher you go, let's see where the housing levy and the whatever.
And I think the judiciary is also like overswamped and overwhelmed, and I think they've really tried to branch out and delegate the work. So like the fact that we have like a rent tribunal where if you have a small argument with your landlord, you just and that can be solved. The fact that we have small claims court where if you're like trying to sue someone for below $1 million, you can just go to the small claims court and figure it out there, and you don't have to go through the giant machine of the I think they've really tried to, even like we have an airline, I think, tribunal as well, where if you have problems with like the Kenya airports and things like that. I think there's some things they've tried to do. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
No. Vile umesema hivyo sasa ndio nimeanza kuiona. Okay. Makes sense.
I think they try. I think if anyone, maybe they're not as independent as we would like, but the most independent of the three is them.
Because parliament is useless. Parliament right now, I think the parliament that we have right now, it's all about rubber stamping the president.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's why we are where we are, because now it's not even. I think we already have the dictatorship you think you want.
But without the
'cause
benefits
the
of
president
dictatorship.
is doing everything.
But we have the dictatorship without benefits of the dictatorship. I was in Rwanda earlier this year, and I've always wanted to live in Rwanda because it's a dictatorship, but you have dictatorship benefits. Yeah. Okay? So, you can't talk about the president. Cool. But if anything is stolen from you, the police will find it. There's a cop literally every 20 meters, there's a cop. Do you know what I mean? There's just a way. Kigali is the cleanest city I've ever been to in my life. I feel like I can eat on the road. Do you know what I mean? There's no city in America or Europe or wherever that I've ever been. Not even South Africa. Let me tell you, Kigali is gorgeous and beautiful and clean and organized, and shit works. You go apply for an ID, they say you'll get it in 3 days. You get it in 3 days. And this is probably grass is greener on the other side thing, because I don't know if people in Rwanda also feel like this. I feel like the ones I've talked to
don't talk shit.
But the ones I've talked to are like, as long as the genocide never happens again, if a dictatorship is what it takes, cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what has talking about the president in Kenya brought me? Okay, we have democracy, but I don't have safety. I don't have security. Rates of unemployment are crazy. Blah, 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 blah. In Rwanda, yes, there are some things that don't work. Like the level of payment is a bit low. There's some stuff that they still need to modernize. Blah blah blah. But the fact that shit works, the fact that a 30-year-old can be ahead of their Ministry of Tourism, you know what I mean? When I went to Kigali, I was in awe of that country.
Because you said something very interesting, and it's made me curious. Are there slums in Kigali?
Like, I didn't see any. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are
level of slums.
I'm sure there are, but I didn't see any. Also, I asked about what happens because I didn't see, when you're in Kenya, you're used to certain things. Then when you go to other countries, you're like, where's this thing? So I didn't see a lot of beggars, right?
Oh, okay.
So we walked into town and I saw a beggar and I was like, oh, so you guys do have beggars. And they were like, yes, but there's a program you can apply to where they'll give you housing and they'll give you money to start a business for 3 months. And then you can like pick yourself up from there. Like they have a social structure in place where you don't necessarily have to beg. Okay. So I'm sure there's slums. I just didn't see them. There's probably more beggars, but the ones I saw were few.
Yeah, this guy has done a few things, because I even love the fact that he said for you to start a church, you have to have a certain level of 1, 2, 3, because churches play the biggest role in Kenya, being the country that we are.
They really do. I think churches in Kenya should be taxed. I think it's ridiculous that churches in Kenya are not taxed. Do you know how much? Anyway, did you know that
I saw the books, the sitam?
Yeah.
I wanted to get saved.
The accounting books. You wanted to get saved.
I wanted to get saved. I was
Africa, you're not saved.
I'm not saved. I don't believe Jesus is my personal savior. No? I think I'm my own personal savior.
I think it's definitely not your leadership. Did you know that in Rwanda, they have a Pan-African university where, as long as you're from a country in, I don't think it's Africa, I think it's East Africa, so the 8 countries, right?
Yeah.
As long as you get an A in whatever exam in your country you got, you can go to school in that school for free. Yeah. You can do, like, it's a med school, right? Oh. So you can go do medicine in Rwanda for free, as long as you got the marks that you needed in your country. Like free, they'll give you accommodation like free. Like free.
Damn, Nini, Kenya is making education expensive. I think this is a good idea.
So now, like, when I was over there, there were 2 girls from Nyanza who were coming to school there. So, for free.
Because now, Kenya, I think this government has made education expensive. Yeah, but I was having this conversation with Willis Otieno. You know him, the lawyer, Piki Ponki. And he was saying that according to him, he thinks it's intentional. Like the government has seen how uneducated whatever questions too much, talks too much. So now if we can make education so expensive that we keep a lot of people dumb, see, now we can keep doing these things of I'll give you a wheelbarrow, and people are like, yeah, you see a wheelbarrow? Yeah,
that's actually a colonial thing, right? Yeah. We're just, what's this book? Is it Franz Fanon, I want to say? The book that he wrote where he was like, it's just the colors of the colonizer are different. Now it's a black colonizer. Yeah. But the white mentality, what is it called? White face, black mask? I can't remember. But there's something where we're just using the same things that colonialists were using today. We're doing the exact same thing, not giving them education, overriding everything with religiosity, making sure that you think authority is the only thing that can be right. Because Africans used to be kept from schools.
Yeah.
Africans used to have to, wear the kipande system. It's not massively different.
Yeah. But let's wait and see. I always lie to myself that one day we'll wake up and things will be different.
Maybe.
But watch out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the option of not hoping is being hopeless, and that's even more depressing than our current state. So I think I'd rather.
Because this has reminded me, there's something, I don't know what we were talking about. I think we were talking about the level of stealing, where we steal too much and we do whatever. And it reminded me, there was this post that was going around Majuzi, and where Murkomen was saying that he saw people debating about his shoes online, and he told his wife, "We've made it." And I was like, I think Murkomen did not understand why people are talking like that. People are talking like that because you're a leader in a third world country. So if you're a leader in a third world country, you can't be extravagant. And it's not about, yes, it's your money, but why weren't you showing us these shoes before you became a cabinet secretary? Now people start wondering, is this your money? Is this...
First of all, I just want to clarify that that's not his money, right? We are the ones who pay those people. That's our fucking money that instead of using to help us, they're just robbing more and buying shoes and fucking expensive ass belts to show us that they want to be on the same level. What did he say? Be on the same level as our colleagues abroad. Someone on Twitter the other day was saying they want to be on the same level as their colleagues. Okay. Dude, that's our money. He's using your money to impoverish you. We're the idiots at this point.
And which leaders are we talking about?
All of them.
Because, no, I'm asking which colleagues.
We make more. Kenyan parliamentarians make more than most other countries.
Worldwide, yeah.
There was a graph that was done where they show you. Yeah, you remember? Yeah.
Kenya iko inaonekana.
Yeah.
Alafu unabidi ufungue nini uone Kenya iko huko juu.
To be fair, Kenya has money, but the problem is the money is going in weird
the
places.
Wrong places. Yeah.
How can a president of a country come and tell you 2 billion is being stolen every day and you're like, cool.
It's okay.
The fact that we have 2 billion to be stolen already just tells me there's so much pillaging actually is the word, and looting and thievery, that 2 billion can be stolen, and 2 billion is probably just the figure that we know, not the figure that it actually is.
It's wild for the president to come out like he's powerless.
Why would you come and say that? Do you know that's me personally, I find that offensive. That's offensive. People are dying in floods and don't have housing, and our unemployment rate is what? And you're over there talking about your shoes? Man, fuck you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted Ian to check. There's this lady who bought gum in Europe. She was from which country? There's this lady in, I think, one of these Scandinavian countries. People expected her to be the next prime minister. But then there was a scandal.
It was Mona Sahlin. Yeah.
Mona Sahlin. From which country?
She was a Swedish deputy.
Yes.
PM. Yeah, you said Swedish.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Can you believe? Bought chocolate.
Can you
bought
believe?
chocolate?
Yeah.
You see.
If what's his name? Babu. I know that's a whole other story. Yeah. If we held people to the same standards.
Yeah. You see, it's
there's something wrong with us.
Kenya ufanyaga na choka. Alafu now the fact that utapata online people wanna defend out for being extravagant. You're there why? Why are you defending these people?
You know why we defend them? Because we hope to someday be them. We hope that one day we can have proximity to that power so that the money will somehow trickle down to us. We defend people who we think we can be.
We can be one day. Yeah. And the
We're
reality
hoping
is...
that we'll run for service and then people will vote for us, or the big man will give you money for your kids' school fees, or da.
So wacha tutoke politics kidogo. Wacha tuongee juu yako. According to me, I always classify you as one of the first podcasters hapa Kenya. Do you know that?